To sum up, the world is facing a choice between two fundamentally different forms of organization. We may label them international capitalism and state capitalism. The former, represented by the United States, has broken down, and the latter, represented by China, is in the ascendant. The path of least resistance leads to the gradual disintegration of the international financial system as we know it. Yet, a system of bilateral relations is liable to generate conflicts between states. A new multilateral system based on sounder principles needs to be invented. That would serve the best interests of both the United States and China, and of course, the rest of the world. Now, while international cooperation is almost impossible to achieve on a piecemeal basis, it may be attainable in a grand bargain where the entire financial order is rearranged. The emergence of the G20 as the primary forum of international cooperation and the peer review process adopted at the Pittsburgh meeting are steps in the right direction. But the G20 has to operate within the confines of the Articles of Association of the IMF as they are currently, because changing the articles is a long drawn-out process. This is what a new Bretton Woods conference could accomplish in one fell swoop. It would reconstitute the IMF to better reflect the prevailing pecking order among states and revise its methods of operation. It would decide how to treat financial institutions that are too big to fail, and it would consider new rules to control capital movements, because the total freedom of financial capital to move around freely in the world has proved to be a source of instability and needs to be corrected. The use of the dollar as the main international currency has produced dangerous imbalances. The dollar is no longer enjoys the trust and confidence it once did. Yet, no other currency is in a position to take its place. There is a general flight from currencies into gold and other commodities and tangible assets. That's harmful because it keeps those assets out of productive use and stokes the fears of inflation. The United States ought not to shy away from the wider use of special drawing rights, SDRs. That should induce China to abandon its peg to the dollar, and that would be the best way to reduce international imbalances. Since SDRs are denominated in several national currencies, no single currency would enjoy an unfair advantage. The range of currencies included in the SDRs would have to be widened, and some of the newly added currencies, which would include the renminbi, may not be fully convertible. Therefore, the dollar could still re-establish itself as the preferred reserve currency, provided it's prudently managed. One of the great advantages of SDRs is that they allow the international creation of money. That would be particularly useful at times like the present. The money could be directed to where it is most needed. That would be a great improvement over what's happening currently. A mechanism which would allow rich countries that don't need additional reserves to transfer their allocations to those who need them is readily available and has already been used on a small scale. The reorganization of the prevailing world order may have to extend beyond beyond the financial system if we are to make progress in resolving issues like global warming and nuclear proliferation. It may have to involve the United Nations, especially the membership of the Security Council. This rather profound process needs to be initiated by the United States, but China and other developing countries ought to participate in it as equals. They are reluctant members of the Bretton Woods institutions, which are dominated by countries that are no longer dominant. The rising powers need to be present at the creation of the new order to ensure that they'll be active supporters of it. Now, why should the United States